Tonight, American foreign policy stands at a crossroads, facing challenges that stretch from the heart of South America to the icy frontiers of the Arctic. The world is watching as the United States navigates a period of unprecedented tension and uncertainty, with every decision carrying global consequences. These challenges are being tested by bold, controversial moves that have sent shockwaves from Caracas to the Arctic Circle. The stakes have never been higher, and the international community is on edge. The Trump administration's surprise military raid in Venezuela, resulting in the capture of its president, has ignited fierce debate at home and condemnation abroad. Critics argue that this action marks a dramatic escalation in U.S. interventionism, while supporters claim it was necessary to restore order and democracy. At the same time, renewed interest in acquiring Greenland has alarmed European allies, who see the move as a challenge to established international agreements and a potential source of instability in the region. European leaders are scrambling to respond, worried about the precedent this could set for future territorial ambitions. These actions reflect a unilateral, assertive approach that challenges international norms and unsettles alliances. Long-standing partnerships are being tested as America's allies question the reliability of U.S. commitments and the direction of its foreign policy. In Latin America, the Venezuela raid is seen as a dangerous return to interventionism. Many fear it could spark further unrest and undermine regional stability. Across the continent, anti-U.S. sentiment is on the rise, with protesters demanding respect for national sovereignty and an end to foreign interference. For China and Russia, these developments present an opportunity to expand their influence. Both nations are moving quickly to fill the diplomatic vacuum, offering support to America's rivals and positioning themselves as alternative leaders on the world stage. At home, political divisions deepen as the Senate moves to limit presidential war powers, reflecting growing concern over unchecked executive authority. Lawmakers from both parties are locked in heated debate, struggling to balance national security with constitutional checks and balances. Meanwhile, protests erupt across the country over both foreign and domestic policies. Americans are taking to the streets, voicing their frustration with decisions made in Washington and demanding greater accountability from their leaders. The tragic shooting of a U.S. citizen by an ICE agent in Minneapolis has become a flashpoint, symbolizing a government some see as acting with impunity. Vigils and demonstrations continue as communities grapple with grief and anger, and the nation faces hard questions about justice, power, and the future of American democracy. In the early hours of January 2026, under the cover of darkness, elite U.S. Special Forces launched a meticulously planned raid on Caracas, Venezuela's capital. The city, already tense from years of political turmoil, was suddenly thrust into chaos as helicopters thundered overhead and heavily armed troops descended onto key government sites. The operation was swift and precise, catching many by surprise. Within minutes, President Nicolas Maduro and First Lady Cilia Flores were apprehended by the Special Forces team, along with several top officials. The world watched in disbelief as the once untouchable leaders were led away in handcuffs, their era of power brought to an abrupt end. At a hastily arranged press conference, the White House described the mission as a targeted law enforcement action, emphasizing that it was not an act of war. Yet for many around the globe, the spectacle of a foreign military force capturing a sitting president marked a dramatic escalation in international affairs. News of the operation spread rapidly, igniting shockwaves both inside Venezuela and across the world. Social media platforms lit up with speculation, fear, and hope, as millions tried to make sense of the unprecedented events unfolding in real time. Maduro and Flores were quickly transported under heavy guard to a waiting aircraft, and within hours, they were extradited to the United States to face serious charges of narco-terrorism and conspiracy. The speed and efficiency of the operation left little room for resistance. This bold move marked the most direct and forceful American intervention in Latin America in decades, shattering the fragile status quo and reviving memories of past U.S. involvement in the region's affairs. On the ground, Venezuela was left reeling. Years of economic crisis and international sanctions had already pushed the country to the brink. Now, with its leadership gone, confusion and uncertainty gripped the streets of Caracas. Security forces scrambled to maintain order, setting up checkpoints and patrolling the city. But beneath the surface, a dangerous power vacuum began to emerge, threatening to plunge the nation into deeper instability. Around the world, the image of a captured president broadcast on every major news network became a symbol of seismic change. For many, it was a sign that the old order in Venezuela had finally collapsed. Now, as the dust settles, the world is left to wonder who will step forward to shape Venezuela's future, and what new chapter will begin for its people. In Washington, the Caracas raid triggered a dramatic Senate showdown over presidential war powers. A bipartisan group, led by Senators Caney and Paul, passed a war powers resolution to limit Trump's authority for further military action in Venezuela. 5 Republican senators broke ranks, signaling unease with unchecked executive power. President Trump lashed out, vowing a veto and asserting his right to act unilaterally for national security. The resolution is largely symbolic, unlikely to survive a veto, but it marks a rare bipartisan rebuke. The constitutional clash over war-making powers is far from over. The Senate's message: Congress will not silently cede its authority. With Maduro in U.S. custody, Venezuela's leadership shifted rapidly. Delcy Rodriguez, Maduro's vice president, was sworn in as acting president, maintaining Chavista control but not resolving the legitimacy crisis. Opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, speaking from abroad, called the new government temporary and insisted on an irreversible transition to democracy. In a bid for goodwill, the National Assembly released dozens of political prisoners, including high-profile activists and opposition leaders. Emotional reunions followed, but hundreds remain jailed. Human rights groups warn the releases are both hopeful and strategic. The struggle for Venezuela's future is just beginning. The world watches to see if real change will follow. The U.S. raid in Caracas drew swift condemnation from Latin American leaders, who called it a violation of sovereignty and international law. Colombia and Brazil moved to legitimize Venezuela's new acting president, seeking regional solutions without U.S. interference. Meanwhile, China, Russia, and Iran congratulated Delcy Rodriguez and condemned the U.S. action as kidnapping. China, a major investor in Venezuela's oil, reaffirmed its support and interests. For Russia and Iran, backing the new government counters American influence. The raid has turned Venezuela into a flashpoint in the global power struggle. Trump's promise to rebuild Venezuela profitably is met with deep suspicion abroad. The next chapter will be shaped by this new alignment of friends and foes. Venezuela's vast oil reserves, over 300 billion barrels, make it a global prize. Control of this resource means economic and strategic power, drawing intense interest from the US, China, and Russia. Years of mismanagement and sanctions crippled Venezuela's oil industry, fueling its humanitarian crisis. The US sees an opportunity for stable, nearby oil and a return for American energy companies. China and Russia, major investors and creditors, want their deals honored by any new government. The competition for Venezuela's oil will shape its future leadership and global alliances. Trump's profitable rebuilding vision faces fierce international resistance. The fate of Venezuela's oil is now a central issue in world politics. As Venezuela's crisis deepens, sending shockwaves through the region and drawing the world's attention, another geopolitical drama is quietly unfolding thousands of miles away. While headlines focus on South America, the Trump administration is reigniting its controversial ambition to acquire Greenland, a move that has stunned both allies and rivals. This renewed push isn't just about expanding territory. Greenland, with its vast icy expanse and remote villages, sits atop a treasure trove of rare earth minerals and occupies a critical position in the Arctic. The administration's interest is driven by both economic opportunity and strategic necessity, as melting ice opens new shipping lanes and access to untapped resources. This time, the U.S. approach is more aggressive. Alongside talk of financial incentives, there are now open hints at possible military options, a development that has left European allies deeply unsettled. The specter of American troops in the Arctic has raised fears of a new era of great power competition in the far north. Greenland's unique geography makes it a linchpin in the Arctic power struggle. Its rare earth minerals are vital for modern technology, and its location offers control over emerging trade routes. For Washington, securing Greenland could mean outmaneuvering both Russia and China in the race for Arctic dominance. Vice President Vance has taken a hard line, framing the acquisition as a matter of national security. He warns that if America's allies refuse to cooperate, the U.S. may act alone, escalating tensions within NATO and putting transatlantic unity to the test. Denmark and Greenland have responded with outrage, rejecting any notion of a sale and condemning what they see as American threats. For them, the US push is not just an affront to sovereignty, but a betrayal of the trust that underpins the NATO alliance. Across Europe, reports of contingency planning and emergency meetings reveal a continent on edge. Leaders are scrambling to understand Washington's intentions and to prepare for the possibility of a major rift with their most powerful ally. The Greenland Gambit is emblematic of the administration's broader foreign policy, one that puts America's interests first, even at the expense of long-standing alliances. The message is clear: the US is willing to go it alone if necessary. To much of the world, this signals a new era of unpredictability in US foreign policy, leaving allies wary and adversaries emboldened as the global balance of power shifts in unexpected ways. The administration's foreign actions have sparked unrest at home, deepening America's divisions. Protests erupt nationwide, fueled by anger over both foreign policy and domestic abuses of power. The fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Moline Good by an ICE agent in Minneapolis becomes a rallying point. Federal authorities block local investigations, intensifying outrage and allegations of a cover-up. Administration allies link domestic dissent to national security threats, blurring lines between protester and enemy. The climate of fear and division grows as presidential power expands. America stands at a crossroads, its global standing and national character in flux. The world, and the American people, are watching what comes next.